The Ukrainians are now fighting for freedom and liberty. They are fighting alone, but they do have help with arms and munition. This help is essential, obviously. It is said now, correctly, that Ukraine is fighting for the liberty, for the idea of this world order that we have. The idea that every country, every nation, every people have the right to liberty, to pursue happiness, to be sovereign. That the big powers cannot impose their will like empires did in the past over the smaller neighbors. It is said correctly that the fight of Ukraine is the fight for all of Europe. And still, we are only helping them with weapons and munition. Well, I have a piece of news for you maybe that you didn't know of. This is not the first fight. Since over 10 years, maybe 20, the people of Venezuela have been fighting against the dictatorship that is backed up by Putin. They did not even get help with weapons and ammunition. They got no help. They were left alone to fight for the idea of freedom and the right of people for self-determination and sovereignty of the nations. When Putin saw that nobody stepped in to help the people of Venezuela, and if you doubt me, look at the number of refugees from Venezuela. There is no country in the world that has more refugees, and they are not even in war. This is exclusively the result of a regime backed up by Vladimir Putin, that the people have been fighting peacefully year after year until they no longer could fight because they were starving to death and they had to leave the country. And the world is still turning a blind eye to this heroic fight for every country's freedom in the world, including for the freedom of Sweden, where I'm now sitting. It's a shame, it's a disgrace, the way the Venezuelan people were left alone. It is a disgrace. Now, the turn has come to Ukraine. Ironically, the Maidan revolution in Ukraine, when they threw out the Putin-supported dictator in 2014, took place simultaneously with the fight in Venezuela called La Salida. Ukraine, they managed their objective, but then they were invaded by Putin later the same year. And now they are in a full-scale war against Putin. I say Putin, not Russia. This is Putin's war. Due to the fact that we left Venezuela hanging, we allowed the Putin-backed regime of Nicolas Maduro to commit crimes against humanity. Holodomor, starvation of his own people. We allowed that to happen with open eyes. The world tried to send humanitarian help in February 2019. The regime did not allow it to go in, and no action was taken. No action was taken. The message to Putin was clear and loud. Nobody is going to oppose you, Vladimir Putin. You can do whatever you want. That was the message he got, and that is the reason why he decided to invade Ukraine now. We who stand for this world order based on freedom and liberty, we have to be prepared to defend it. We can't just stand and talk in microphones and say, oh, we stand for this, but pow, you can't do that. No. It says here in the paper you can't do it. A paper is not going to stop a dictator. The only thing that stops a tyrant is military force. I also have a message for Joe Biden, President of the United States. The Cold War was a time of terror balance, of the threat of nuclear mutual annihilation. That was the only thing that deterred the Soviet Union from attacking. Once you took that off the table, Putin felt that his options were endless. He could do what he wanted, as long as he did it without using nuclear arms. There is a risk, obviously, of a third world war. In my opinion, we have passed the threshold of no return. Unless we defeat Russia with conventional weapons, or the Russian people deposes of Putin. I'm afraid this will go to nuclear threats. And we in the West must be prepared to assume the risk of nuclear war. Because if we do not assume that possibility, that risk, and prepare for it, and say that if it takes a nuclear war to stop Putin, let's go to nuclear war, but we are going to stop Putin. That's the only thing that's going to stop him, because this is a chicken race. And in a chicken race, the craziest person wins unless he dies. So that's the options we have. We have to be prepared to go to the ultimate consequences, to risk the lives. The nuclear war is bad, but it's not the end of the world order as we know it. Not being prepared to go to nuclear war will end the world order as we know it. It will put dictators in control, which they probably will be able to maintain for 500 years, for 1,000 years or longer, because that's the experience of history. It's extremely hard to get freedom. And once we have it, it's very easy to lose it. This is a crucial time in the moment of humanity. If we are not ready to risk everything to save our liberty, we will lose our liberty.